Welcome, everybody. Friday, May 24th. This, I think, is the 43rd weekly public meeting. And we are we're ready to go. We've got a great lineup of events. We got the esteemed Doc Searls. Anyway, so let me just give you a quick update of what's been going on this week. We had the return of Balaji. He'd been on jury duty. He'd landed a grand jury trial, but now he's back. He's back and he's in charge of the PI assistant development. So that's great. And then the return of Sam Johnston, who'd been away on a birthday trip to the Cannes Film Festival. How some people live. That's amazing. But anyway, we're glad to have both Sam and Balaji back and back working on the code and leading their respective teams. As you know, Balaji heads the front end, which has been called numerous things. It's been called the bot, it's been called the agent, and now it's called the assistant. This is what happens when you've got the word police moderating your vocabulary. Look, we're exploring a new space, and so we actually are populating a glossary. We're defining new terms, and that's probably something I'm going to work with Doc about. Maybe we get a glossary of terms together, because we're starting to, we have to talk about this stuff. It's complex. We have to talk about it, and that's how we're going to get to the bottom of it. I just came off a video conference call with the regional government of Italy in Palermo, and we were presenting on AI to their parliament building. And Christian Randieri was there, and Afshin was also presenting. And the last time I was in Palermo, I was 8 years old. So I kind of weaved in a story, or my personal story, so that I can talk about personal AI. I'll go anywhere for a pun or to stretch a metaphor. But today we've got an agenda. I'd like later on, I'll give you an update on what's going on in the work groups, and we'll get more. But rather than me rambling on, Debbie, why don't you get us on schedule?
All right, I feel like the Vanuatu of Kwaai here. All right, everybody, welcome. And I guess, do you want Doc to go next, or do you have more? Okay, perfect. So Doc, it's all you. We're very excited to, hear your talk. So.
And you can unmute, yeah.
Okay, couldn't lip read that, huh? How do I do a screen share on this thing? I know on Zoom.
It's the up arrow, and I probably have to make you a co-host. My apologies. Okay. And that would expose the.
Oh, I see the up arrow. It's not lit. Okay, now it is. Okay.
Yes, there we go.
All right, here we go. So, all right, I'll share now, and I choose what I want to share. Okay. Where is?
And it could be a window, or it could be the browser.
I want it to be a window, not a tab.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. There's a window, and the window is this one. And I will share that and look at it and put it in this mode. I'm looking at a full screen.
Perfect. We see it.
You see it. Okay. So I'm just going to give you a little background on myself. All of this is cobbled together with spare parts. Hopefully some lightning will strike. So getting there. I moved too fast. Oh, is it doing it on its own pace? How do I go up?
No, you can go.
Okay.
Back.
All right. Here I am, just giving you the whole thing. Right. Okay. Jesus. Okay. Let me exit that. Let me go back up to here, start there. Oh boy, it's okay. Now we'll go back to that mode. Do I advance with which key?
Your arrow key,
or the space bar. Okay, so it's about getting here. This is what I showed at the at VRM Day as kind of an aspirational thing for VRM. I'm not sure for VRM. I talked about VRM for 20 years now, so I'm substitute now, personal AI. But basically, if we're trying to visualize what that is and what we could do, these are all of one person's abilities. And how do we get there? So this is where I'm coming from. I think one thing you can't change is where you come from. In my case, it's New Jersey, where Fuck is our word for so you'll forgive me when if I become profane. I'm from the lower right there where those bridges are. And speaking of the bridges, at the left end of the George Washington Bridge, I'd like to use my cursor, but I'm afraid it'll advance things. That's basically where I was born, and I grew up a few miles west of there. And that lump near the top is relevant because I come from people who were builders. This is my grandfather, born during the Civil War, on the right. He was the chief carpenter for D.W. Griffith when he made movies in the Hollywood of the time, in the early in the last century in Fort Lee, New Jersey. That's where Hollywood was then. He worked for Universal Studios, which is now elsewhere, building film sets. And this is one of them. When they started doing film, they thought they had to recreate a theater, and he helped D.W. Griffith take film outside. And so he was an effective guy. And so was his son, my dad. That's him on the top on the left. He was a construction worker who walked down the street and started working on building the George Washington Bridge, where he rigged cables. So I looked at that every day when I was growing up, or close to every day, as something my father helped build. And I think that's in me somehow. I want to make things happen, but I was not a very good carpenter, so I became a geek, and I was a ham radio operator. That's me at age 14. And there was no computer code, so the only code I know even to today is Morse. And I still have one of those machines there. This is another thing that was effective. It's the lump that I was talking about earlier. It was an editorial I wrote. I became a journalist in high school, and then jobs in newspapers getting out of college. And this is one of the most effective things, probably the most effective thing I've ever done, which is write an editorial against developing the top of the lump mountain near the top of that thing there. It's the highest point in New Jersey, actually outside of New York City. It's about 900 feet high. And I helped save High Mountain with that one editorial. And then skipping over the entire career I had in marketing and advertising in Silicon Valley, where I did get to meet a lot of techies and have some influence there. Helped Linux Journal get started in 1994. Joyce, by the way, was behind that, brought me into that. And became editor-in-chief, an editor in 96, editor-in-chief much later, but I had 24 years there with the experience of helping the world get to talk about open source and understand Linux. And there was a lot of effect in that. And in the midst of that, I co-wrote this thing called the Clue Train Manifesto, which the important part of which was there were 3 other guys. We did this in 1999. It was one of the biggest memes on the internet, and before there was the meme spreaders with social media in 1999. And the relevant part of it is this, because it's relevant to us. And it's a statement that really got Clue Train going. We are not seats or eyeballs or end users or consumers. We are human beings, and our reach exceeds your grasp. Deal with it. So we felt we had to write something. So we wrote this thing. It had 95 theses under it. If you read under the first one, markets are conversations. The effect of that is that everything now is a fucking conversation. Join the conversation. You're Hillary Clinton or whatever. She had a big one about joining the conversation. But it's like going forward is now replaced in the future. The whole conversational meme started really with this. So that's another experience I had with making some stuff happen. So I got brought in as a fellow at the Berkman Center at Harvard, and on the strength of what I just talked about, for the most part, in 2006, I was obliged to create a 1-year project. This is it. The idea behind VRM is that there's customer relationship management, by which many companies imagine that they have relationships with you. It's mostly customer records management. We felt we needed something from the customer side. So this 1-year project is in fact still going on 18 years later. But VRM is basically how this, which is what we have now, client server, we're always the clients, we're always the calves, going to the cows of the sites and services for the milk of HTML and cookies and spyware and the rest of it. And it gets replaced by this, which is equivalency between demand and supply. And that's a symbol that we use. We call it the R button for red, or relationship. But where supply and demand are more or less equal in the marketplace. We get wonderful things from supply right now, but we're not in control. This is how we become in control. And these are all cribbed from 10, 15-year-old presentations, but they work. With VRM, the customer drives. You're in demand. You're the demand side of the marketplace, and you control your data and how it's used. And you set your own policies, preferences in terms of service. For example, Don't track me outside your site and service. Give me my data in usable form I specify. Wipe my data when I say so, and so on. And that will become, I'll treat that a little more in depth in a minute. And with VRM, you manage many relationships the same way. On the right side, all those guys saying supply, on the supply side, what CRM does is every one of them have their own very different way, using the same backend from Salesforce or Oracle, but they all look different to us because they're all relating to us in their own ways. We do not have scale across them. We need that scale. So, and this is key, and this is the thing that's captured the most attention. You can intent cast to the whole market. In the book I wrote, which I don't have a slide for, The Intention Economy, but Reza has held it up so many times you can memorize it. You can intent cast the whole market. It was called personal RFPs in the book, but somebody later called it intent casting, which I think is better. But basically, you're the one doing the advertising, and you say, I need a stroller for twins downtown in the next 2 hours, or I'm looking for exactly this car. But they don't know anything more about you than they need to, and you're in control of how the data gets used and what relationship may or may not come out of it. So here's where VRM takes off. And I'm amazed that this was 15 years ago, but this is important. The size and relevance of the customer's own data, personal data that's in their control on one vector, and the degree of customer control in the marketplace on the other. VRM is up here. We are not there. We're really pretty close to 0 and 0 on this. So that's one reason we created Customer Commons. What's our leverage here? How can we take one corner of this and take over and really make something happen? Customer Commons is based on Creative Commons, and it's not a total copy of it, but Creative Commons is very successful. Larry Lessig, who started Creative Commons along with Aaron Swartz, the late great Aaron Swartz, started that. And the idea is that and that was after he lost a Supreme Court case, Eldred versus Ashcroft, on copyright. He said, well, okay, we're going to have our own copyrights. And here they are. Artists can have copyrights. And all you do is point to them. I'm an artist. I do photography personally, and I have all of mine use one license that says attribution only. If you use my photos, you have to attribute them to me. And for the most part, the market is obedient to that. So that was the idea. And that was toward developing the most important standard in development today, which I wrote about in 2022, long after we started on it. And that is this, P7012, standard for machine readable personal privacy terms. And there are a number of people who are on this call, I noticed, who are also involved in this and in our work group. We have just turned that upstairs at IEEE. It's on its way to becoming a standard early next year. We can still do everything that's in the standard. There's nothing that I mean, it's not complicated at all, but we feel really good that the thing is now upstream inside them. So here's one term you might have. This has been around for several years. It's called no stalking. Somebody wrote on a whiteboard at a VRM day, just give me ads that based on tracking me, which is good for the company because it can still advertise, but it's good for me because I'm not being tracked off site. And as with Creative Commons, near the bottom you see there, here's the legal code, and here's the human readable text. Well, the people at IEEE, or one person in particular, came to us and said, well, where's the machine readable part of this? So that's why we started on P7012. Works like this. So here are the entities that matter. Okay, you've got the person, that's you and me. You've got the entity, which could be any organization, but is most likely to be a website or a retailer or something. Both sides have a data store. In between them are these possible agreements. Right now, the one on the top right is giving you the agreements, and you're signing them or not. They don't matter. They're put in a place you never see. They're not enforceable. It's a complete dance. It is completely broken, and everybody knows it. So now we have this coming into the market. Hey, wait, here's a stack of possible agreements at a public website, which happens to be Customer Commons. The person, this is the key thing. We're the one proffering the agreement. A contract is simply a law made by two parties to themselves. Contract law really only applies when there's a dispute, but if there's no dispute, you still have this law between any two parties. So they proffer the agreement. The entity signs the agreement. One of these are agreeable to them. Both agents sign the agreement, and identical copies of the agreement are kept on both sides. And I'm getting dizzy from talking, so I'm going to take a drink. Okay, so somebody in Los Angeles is calling me, and I'll turn that off. Am I still audible, by the way? I'm just looking.
Yeah.
Great.
Chris.
All right. So So, okay, so where do we come in here? So what are these agents? We've had this for several years now, but we haven't had the means. Well, look at this. We can, this is something that ChatGPT came up with for me, but we have an agent on our side. That's the one on the left and one on the right. I wanted homes on the left and buildings on the right, so it was clear what they were. But I sort of see this as it's going to run on Pi OS, and it's sort of a get off my lawn sort of thing. Like if you're going to come on my lawn, you agree to my terms here. And what you get with that when it's over is just one of many abilities. You have two robots clinking there, and that, by the way, that idea came from a friend of ours, Adele Menicella, who would be very helpful for all we're doing here too. I should add, she's very good at this kind of thing. But the idea is that you have two robot lawyers doing that, and that can be just one of many abilities on Pi OS. So that's as much lightning as I could put in that small bottle for now. And I will stop presenting here. There we go. Oh, so there's some claps. That's nice.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Doc. That was really good. I think we have time for some questions for Doc. And I see, is it John Connors? You've got your hand up, or was that accidental?
That was accidental. My mistake.
Okay. Quick questions for Doc. Thanks so much. And Doc, yes, I did give you attribution. I borrowed your picture in my Palermo book. Thank you very much. And Carsten's got his hand up. He's looking for your handle.
Yeah, I'm looking for your handle, but that's what was your ham handle? But that's actually my.
Oh, my ham. Oh, is WV2VXH, and that was a novice handle. Had I passed the general license, I would have. Which meant I had to do 13 words per minute of code. I flunked it twice by missing a space in downtown New York, and just because my handwriting, it sucked. And then I got sent away to a boarding school, and that was the end of it. And I never did get my general
I hear that they
dropped the code requirement.
Right?
Yeah.
What a harsh punishment.
Sorry, the Kwaai question I had for you really quick was just about the IntentCast network. Is it correct to say that when Kwaai sets up an IntentCast network, that it's going to be first to market?
I mean, yes and no. There are so many efforts that have tried and failed.
Okay.
So, do you want to call them first to market or not? They're
okay.
They're the dinosaurs for successful. Don't have bones. What's that?
We'll call it first successful. I mean, this is what was visual to me was what Kwaai is clearly this thing of the people, and so that's going to create a trusted brand that people are going to want to go into more than other things. So
yeah, there are lots of possibilities there.
Fantastic. Any other questions? Were you involved in pirate radio? Or was that was ham?
I had a pirate station in my high school. And I as a disc jockey, my name was Flash, and that was because I was not the best.
In the UK, there was Citizens Band Radio, but before
we had that too.
Before CB radio, if you were operating on any of the frequencies that unlicensed, you were a pirate. And I actually ran a pirate radio station with a school buddy.
I was amazed at how many I heard in London in the 90s.
Right.
I knew where the actual stations were because there are not as many as there are in the US. And here's Capital, here's Jazz, here's BBC 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But there are all these others that are in languages I don't know, and it was pretty cool. Actually. Well,
we didn't know what frequency we were going to be broadcasting on. It depended how warm the temperature of
how warm the valves were, right?
Those are the days. Okay, Debbie, get us back on track.
Okay, so thank you, Doc. That was great. And I guess we're going to talk about the work groups, beta work groups. Do you want to start, or Balaji going to talk?
Let me start. I'm going to just give the roadmap update, and then we can have maybe some quick words from the rest, from Balaji and from Sam. But today, this week, in an important meeting, in fact, it was yesterday, I presented the roadmap for the rest of the year. In fact, for the year going forward. you've all seen this diagram. This is like the top level roadmap, and this is our strategic plan. You can see the top line is what the organization is going to be doing, the 3 work streams going on in Kwaai, 80% of our activities, the green line here where we are developing personal AI. The rest of our energies are distributed between research and policy. We were focusing on this area here we call beta, but we're focusing on the green line. So how does that decompose? There are 3, you can see I decompose things into 3s. That's my fondness for the number 3. That green line decomposes into 3 tracks. The agent, which we're now going to call the assistant. It is the front end. It's the talking head of the bot, and that is headed by Balaji. The operating system, this is how it's going to evolve over the next few quarters, and that's headed by Sam. And then this thing called Kwaai, which is currently just in a discussion phase at the moment in architectural discussions, but it will all evolve. And these 3 streams all culminate in personal AI running on a distributed network. Let's just briefly dive into the gory detail of each of those 3 tracks. The agent roadmap, here is the extra detail. As I said, Balaji is leading this. The product team includes a number of people, includes Steve, I think you're on the call, Rhiannon, I think you're on the call. AZ is a new addition to the product team. I'm lending my help there as well, and I think Michael Grossman also volunteered. If anyone's got any product management skills, please put your hand up, volunteer for this team. You'll be the voice of the user. That's what we need. We need that advocate for the user. And Cam's put his hand up. Great. But we also need the formal product management artifacts. Those are the UML diagrams. That's the narrative around the user specification and requirement documents. That's the user stories, that whole catalog of user stories, the persona analysis, the backstory of each of the personas. As Debbie says, you have to step into the shoes of each of the users in order to understand what their wants are, and then write that out. That's important, because these ideas need to be communicated to the army of software engineers that are going to be developing it, and they need to be well informed. Otherwise, they're going to invent this stuff as they're writing the code, and we don't know where the product will go. So product management is extremely important. Let me just dwell on that a bit more. In a typical for-profit company, this is the product manager. It is a single person, a product owner. They're very opinionated. They are very egotistical. They have a vision. It's very rare that this is done by a team. In a volunteer organization where we don't have a single person working on this full time, we have to do this as a team. So this is a challenge. We need to accept the challenge and figure out how we're going to do this. Yes, we have opinionated people on trying to define what the product should look like and what the user experience should be. We need to work as a team. If we were to rely on a single person, as we did in the early days of the project, they get busy and they go and they ghost us. And yeah, that's the nature of volunteerism. So let's not do that. This is a team. Okay. Below that, we got Cyan. Cyan is full-time. He's from Arcus Nexus. And that we're grateful to Arcus Nexus for donating 6 engineers to us. We're going to have Cyan running project management. He has daily stand-ups. So if you're joining as a developer on the team, you can join the daily stand-up. We'll come to that. Okay. We've also got 4 full-time developers at Arcus Nexus who are contributing, and we count about 12 volunteers in our group. If you want to work on the front end, contact Balaji, and he will point you to the backlog, which is still being created, and make sure that you're on board. But I'm going to rattle through this really quickly. Similar sort of line for the personal AI operating system, PyOS, we call it. PyOS, so learn how to say that. Otherwise, it's just a jumble of vowels there between the P and the S. Okay. Here's the roadmap. It's going to evolve. The software is going to evolve. We already have a proof of concept. Challenges, go to the repo and build it, and see if you can get it to run. I know several people have tried. Sam will help you if you get into issues. Sam leads that development. Roman is the architect. Doc and I are helping Roman out, and in meetings. Sam probably needs a project manager. So if anybody fancies themselves as a project manager on the Pi operating system, please contact Sam, and we'll get you engaged. And we need more developers on the operating system side. So if you fancy yourself as a back-end developer and you're not sort of UX front of house person, but you want to work on the business logic, and it's the motherhood and apple pie of Kwaai, because these are the kernel services that encapsulate the principles of Kwaai, of self-sovereignty, self-sovereign identity, privacy, security, and using AI to empower individuals, not to further monetize them. Okay, so that's super important. And if you're working on the kernel, on the operating system, that's the place you're going to be playing. The next thing is the Kwaai network. Okay, what do we mean by the Kwaai network? Well, to date, we've been working in a very traditional topology of a client and a server. And the server runs in some GPU instance in the cloud, or it's in your own infrastructure. Ultimately, we feel that the network will be a fabric, and it'll be a peer-to-peer mesh, like a torrent of personal AI. And you're all familiar with BitTorrent. You're also familiar with other networks in the past over the last 2 decades. Remember LimeWire, Kazaa, Grokster. But there are actually some more modern networks, Web3 networks. So the Kwaai network will have a storage fabric, and it's probably the solid protocol that we are going to be adopting. We've had good discussions with Inrupt on that, but there are other contenders as well for that, and we might end up with a public storage network and one that's more enterprise ready. So those discussions are happening now. The layer above that, the orange layer, is called the community inference layer, and characters on our team like Brian Ragazzi are lead. They lead. In fact, Brian is the leader of this project, and Brian is the go-to person we want to talk about the mesh network and getting a proof of concept together of community inference. There's code out there already, and so that's the exciting part. That we don't have to invent this wheel from scratch. You know, the whole Web3 movement gave rise to a number of great initiatives. There are code bases that are actually looking for community. Where Kwaai strong is, we put community first. Community could be, the Kwaai community could be the new home for all of these projects that are now ghost towns on GitHub. Bring them, we'll find a home for them here. We'll integrate them into the Kwaai software base and give them a new purpose. Okay, the layer above that, the green layer, is the intent casting layer. You heard Doc talk about intent casting. This is the business layer of the network. This is where contracts are made between adjacent parties. We have to we're probably going to be the first implementers of P7012, but we probably need to add to that standard, that protocol, the sort of use cases that we anticipate on this network. There are existing technologies there. We're going to be hearing from Sujit Nair in a couple of weeks about the beckon protocol. That is up and running and battle tested already. But there's also other characters. I think Ian Henderson's also going to be giving a lightning talk about his code base around intent casting. And so this is very exciting. I hope that gives you an idea of what's been going on in the work groups and where we are going. I'm going to pause there, stop sharing, and maybe Balaji, if you're online, you can give a quick update, but also Sam, I'd like to hear from you as well.
Absolutely. Thanks, Reza. Is there a way I can share my screen?
Yes, and I need to make you co-host. And I promise I'll fix this for next time. So add as co-host. You should be up now. And then Sam, I'm going to add you as co-host as well.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Great.
I have some exciting news to share. Myself and Brian got together yesterday, spent a couple of hours hacking. So we are happy to say we have first version of a community inference working demo. In this case, you can see two people here, or two nodes. One is me, which is the direct with a public IP, and the relay is Brian. I'm sure Brian can add more color to this, but you can see the model is being split half between me and half between Brian. And we are able to run a LLM generative AI type of a text response on this. I'll show some of this in the hackathon, but let's see if we just have a quick chat interface. This runs across two nodes. It's distributed. There you go. So that's the speed at which it works. It's completely distributed over the internet, and it's fun. So we'll talk more on the hackathon. So that's the progress on that side. And Brian, if you have any words to add, I'll let you do that. Otherwise, you can pass it on to Sam.
Yeah, I mean, you've pretty much covered it. Just the idea here is that this is running on multiple machines, and more importantly, multiple machines that are distributed across the internet. So this isn't like several machines in a cluster somewhere. This is a sort of a virtual cluster over a large area. So that means eventually anybody could join this. We could get a very large network of people and have the equivalent power of something that would cost tens of thousands of dollars or more on a cloud provider. So the community can collectively do inference over these models and support various applications on top of it.
Thanks, Brian.
All right. So
Sam, off you go. Yeah.
Okay, so that looks really good. I just saw some news about Llama supporting distributed inference as well in today's TLDR. I think it's more kind of designed for like LAN type stuff, but it's an interesting development anyway. The operating system, I've been out. It was school holidays last week, so I went over to Europe and went to Cannes Film Festival and stuff, and caught up on the latest and greatest in AI over there in the entertainment industry. But I'm now back in Vancouver and picking up where I left off on the operating system. So now really pulling the front end and the back end together. There is a front end component which is in React and a back end component in Python, and there's an API and an open API spec that ties those two things together. Everything that the front end does is through that API, so there's no kind of reaching around the API, which means that you can, if you want to write a mobile app or some other thing, or integrate it with your DevOps flow, then you can do that. And there's not going to be like hidden APIs that you can't access. That does so all of that's got to be tied together, and what I'm working on right now today is like the scripts that set up the environment. I've now got a Windows machine that I just bought over from from Paris. So now I'm making sure that it runs on Windows. I think a lot of our end users are going to be on Windows. So I'm writing learning and writing PowerShell scripts to set up the environment and clean up the environment. I'm going to tie it together. Currently, you do need to start the front end and the back end separately. One runs in Node server called Vit, which allows you to host a Node application, and then the back end runs in Python using a thing called Connection, which loads up the Open API spec, and then ties it and kind of hooks everything into it, so it's nice and neat in terms of people being able to jump in and develop on it. So the next thing is to tie those two things together, so you don't have to start two different services for the front end and the back end. You'll just start one server that will host both the front end and the back end, on the same port. That resolves some cause issues, complexity and stuff as well. And so I'm kind of still moving things around a bit in terms of paths and that kind of stuff, which is why I think there was an issue with the, you obviously need to have a shared token so the two things can talk to each other. So I'll make sure that all of that stuff is working right and working across platforms as well. And then really the point that will make it usable, which is coming up very shortly, kind of, if not this week, then next, is where when you start the different kind of abilities, then they hook in as channels. And so I've got this kind of omni-channel, like multi-channel idea where you have your input and output channels or bidirectional channels. Like you might have input coming from your Gmail, and an output might be like a web-based chat client or a talking head, an assistant, we're calling it now. And so when you start these different components, they need to be able to register in kind of a registry of services so that you can see and kind of which link to click or like what's actually going on, like what are the flows in the system. So I've got that all built in as well. And so all we've got to do now is when we start these processes, whether they're locally or using Ansible on a remote server or something, they hook in so kind of where to go, right, to actually access your LLM and start to use it and start maybe programming using a local LLM or something like that. So very close now. If anybody wants to jump into that, it is pios.org. It is github.com/pi-os. And feel free to jump in and give us a hand getting that to the point where people can start using it and giving feedback and then getting more developers involved. I think that's about it from me.
Excellent. Fantastic. Who's up next?
Don, Toby, and Carson will update us. Good meeting on today.
All right, I need to share my screen.
I think you have privilege.
All right, great. So this is the update for the marketing. Thank you to the 42 people who have added the role to their profile. As you can see, showing 110% growth, 1,000% year over year. We got 300 members, so we're barely at the 10, just over 10% mark. So I would request that we get more people to add the roles to their profile to continue this spike and growth trend. So overall, 435 reactions, 209 comments, 73 reposts over the last 90 days. Let's double that over the next 90 days. We got a Piepalooza page up. If everyone could like it, share it as well, that would be awesome. We appreciate it. And speaking of the event, so in case you guys didn't know, anyone new on the call, we have a series of hackathons we're planning starting in LA next month. So please get engaged, get off the sidelines. We need your support. If you're not a hacker, doesn't matter. You can be a designer. You can be a cook in the kitchen. We need you. Literally, you bring value to a team. You have valuable insights that they do not know about. It's called domain expertise. So everyone is invited to the hackathons. It's not just for coders, not just for designers. It's for all the community. So me and Karsten and James, we went out on the road and we've been doing some outreach. We went to a Run Pod hackathon in SF at the Industrious co-working space. While we were there, we actually met quite a few developers, and we actually interviewed them and we posed the question, what does personal AI mean to you? And so we're processing those videos, and we're going to start a series. And also we'd like to share those with the product team so that they can use those in product as well. We are also in talks with Rebecca from Trellis. Hopefully she's going to host the San Francisco event, and we'll move from my old co-working space to hers, which will effectively double the size from 50 attendees to over 100 at Trellis. Still waiting to hear back from Stanford and Google. So if anybody has any muscle that's has more clout than mine, please step to the front and help us pull this across the finish line. Want to show the event. This was the event we went to in San Francisco. This was the AI machine learning hackathon sponsored by Launch Darkly. The space could have supported about 500 devs, but they only got 200. So I think that this is literally right for a partnership with our community. What I do want to say is they really did a great job at producing a quality event. And it's partially because they had a conference going on the second floor. And so one of the things I want us to think about is the Kwaai Summit. We need to think this level for production quality, where we bring all the winners of the hackathon to our event, and we'll have an event, a conference-like event, and a hackathon. And we should try to pull, at least aim to have this quality of production. It was really well produced. So I'm gonna really try my best with the resources we have to represent Kwaai and put on an excellent event. So Alan from Musa also was out with us, and we were able to do some really intimate conversations. We have more content coming from Musa as well. There's Karsten. We actually got on a team. We actually were going through the process. I wanted Alan, Karsten, to understand the process of a hackathon from the participants' perspective, so that we can all have better empathy in creating the hackathon. Once again, top quality. This was the show, or the end of the hackathon, where they pitched and presented the awards. Now, because they already had an event going on, that's why you have this high quality production. So that's why I say for our summit, we should try to have this level of production. So some of the highlights, we filmed over 2 hours of B-roll and interviews for PyPalooza. We met some new sponsor leads, Convex, Datadog, and Launch Darkly. Convex actually verbally agreed to come on board at the event, so that was great. We met Chris Hilton. I don't know if he's on the call. He's a Georgia Tech student. He's also a hackathon organizer who organized the Art Basel hackathon, the blockchain. So he's going to be helping us out. Specifically, he really wants to have some impact on the Atlanta event because, he's a student there. So I feel you there. Emily from Techstars, had a great call with her. She's going to reach out to her network. She's going to do some sponsor intros. She also invited us to participate in an event in Boston. So I'm going to take her up on that and see what we can do. Iman Schaefer. Iman, I don't know if you're on the call. She's a UCSC student. She's going to volunteer for California events. She also has a sister at UCSBB. She's also going to volunteer, and they're both going to do outreach at their campuses for the LA event and the San Francisco event. And then the call to action. So for LinkedIn, once again, add Kwaai as a role to your LinkedIn profile. Repost content. No network is too small. Please, please, please repost Kwaai content. Advisors, if you haven't already, book a call with me, please. You need to. Let me get you connected into the community where you can actually really, really move the needle. Hackathons, we need outreach partners for local partners, sponsors, mentors, attendees. Mentors for Musa Capital, they're doing a Summer of Code program. It's an externship, meaning virtual, and in 3 physical locations: Arizona, San Francisco, and Atlanta. So if you'd like to be a mentor, please let us know. We'll part of your hours for Kwaai can be allocated to being a mentor for these programs as well. Colleges, we need more colleges in the beta program. A lot of you guys have some sort of alma mater. Please talk to me or Reza about bringing them to the table. Mentor challenge. So colleges and community colleges. I'm proposing this adopt a student, and this is kind of my first, introduction to this to the community, but it goes to like me seeing a gap in our students and the market. And instead of just, talking shit, I want to invoke change. So I've already personally started it, but I'd love to have some other people to help me expedite and grow that within the Kwaai community. And that's kind of like adopt a big brother, you adopt a student, right? Whether you're a marketing person, a coder, a designer, a network engineer, like all these kids need mentors. And I think we really need to step up. So that's my call to action to the community. HBCUs, any connections to HBCs, please make an intro for Musa. They're trying to raise money for their fund from these endowments, and they're looking for some inroads there. Product owners, we need more product managers to help with all projects. Graphic designers, we have multiple design tasks that we need help with. Content, story channel, join with Doc and Carson and me. Send us your articles. We'll get them posted on the Kwaai newsletter, the email list, and also the website once we get the blog up. All right, that's it for marketing. Carson, you want to add anything to this?
Oh, that was pretty thorough. No, I don't. Not off the top of my head.
All right. And there's a poll. There's a poll going on in the chat. Yes, Sam. Tell me you ready for some challenges for the Pi OS, baby. I don't want to put no pressure on you, right? But yes,
So in terms of outcomes, right?
I'm ready.
People building stuff on Pi OS is probably what we want to get out of it. So you and I should connect on that and make sure that we've got it ready for them to create an environment and start building and integrating and stuff on top.
Yes. I'm ready. I didn't want to put no pressure on you, baby. I know you're doing the cans thing with the family, but I'm so happy to hear that.
Right.
So we can talk about that on the hackathon call next.
All right.
That'll be awesome. Thank you.
This is James here. Just wanted to briefly speak on this. I want to follow up on Toby's suggestion about co-producing where possible hackathons and then leveraging someone else's real estate as part of the conversation. I'm going to throw this out to Reza and Toby more. This is for 2025 dates because 2024 are already locked in. But for example, Vegas hosts CES. CES hosts Digital Hollywood. Let's reach out to Victor and say, Victor, we should be doing something there, or AT&T or whomever else is already on the call. But going backwards, I hope we can align some dates. I've done things with AWE, or there's already places that, as Toby has showcased, that have tremendous production value in place. But if we could be there because there's a opportunity, we don't have to take up much to really add impact value to them, and they add value to us.
Fantastic. Okay.
We literally talked about that last night, James. So get out of our head. Like literally, me and Reza talked about that last night.
Let's do that in the idea exchange, maybe. Because we're running out of time for new member voices, and we got lots of new members.
And let me toss in the last bit, because I did remember the one thing I wanted to add in of what Toby was saying. The one of the major purposes of the hackathon is it's helping us provide some bridge funding for the foundation for the year. It also creates relationships for future sustainable sponsorships. And events are like the core thing where things happen. That's where deals get made and people get met. So in this year, it may represent a good portion of budget. In the future, it might be a small slice of things, but it's always going to be an ongoing thing to have the summits and the hackathons and things like that. So that's kind of its purpose here. Thanks.
Great. I'm going to skip the funding and sponsors. I'm eager to get to the new member voices. Debbie, can you get us on track?
Yes. So if you have any new members, kindly raise your hand and just, introduce yourselves. This is a 1-minute hello. Tell us why you're here and what you like to accomplish.
Great, Robert.
Hey, everybody. I'm Robert Benning. I have a background in distributed systems. I created a company that built a blockchain-based distributed storage network, pretty much built on IPFS and BitTorrent. We since shut that down, and I actually went back to school and just finished my degree. So I'm back hitting the market and dusting my coding skills off. So if I can help in any way, I added my name to that Google Doc there. So please reach out. My email address is on that doc as well. So nice to meet everybody.
Robert, great to see you well. Thanks for reconnecting after so many years. I was there, one of your early champions for your venture. Sad it didn't make it, but thanks for reconnecting. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really good to reconnect with you, and very good experience. So nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you. Thank you. Garth?
Yes, hi. My name's Garth Chouteau. I've been doing high-tech marketing and communications my entire career, which now is far too long. I PR'd the first esports league, the first virtual reality toolkit, and a number of other tech firsts, but I consider myself a techno-Luddite, and new technology scares me, and AI scares me more than just about anything. So I think the best way to overcome fear is to learn more, and I'm just here to learn, and happy to help with any writing, editing, marketing type activities.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Garth.
Our marketing meetings are on Tuesday. So join the marketing channel, please, if you're interested. And Reza, I'll let you go down this list.
I'm going to go down the list because look, if you're not putting your hand up, then I'm going to call on you. So I see Chris Liu is CL is a new. There we go. Chris has got their hand up. Chris, let's hear from you.
Hi all. Yeah, I'm a Billionaire hacker, ex-founder. Heard of the group from Toby. Looks like here's really cool stuff. So here to help in any way I can. Building, hacking. Yeah, anyway, I posted my LinkedIn. Feel free to add me. Sorry, I'm sweaty. I just played tennis. So I was like, oh, not expecting to be on camera, but here I am. Great to meet everyone and excited to deep dive.
Fantastic. Chris, in the chat, there's a spreadsheet. You'll have to scroll to find it. But if it's the Pi work group teams, if you can maybe add your name there and suggest, and this is open for anyone. It's an editable spreadsheet, so please go and have a look at it. Okay. A few other new names. Hands up, please. Otherwise, I'm going to call on you. I see Ron Nagamati. I think you're a new name.
Hey, Reza.
Hey.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ron Nagamati. I'm a streaming video architect. I work with Reza, DirecTV, if you still remember Reza.
I do.
Happy to help any way I can. You know, as I said, I'm general architect. I'm a technical product owner for DirecTV, Beachbody, Disney. Well, it's a few company, Univision, Wix products.
Excellent.
So I can help. Just send the work my way. Happy to chip in.
Okay, thank you so much. Just below you on the list, S. Sharanya. Perhaps you want to speak up and no. Okay, was that your hand up, Ruth? You wanted to speak? And hands gone back down. Okay, very good. Look, okay, so I'll then do a wrap up. I'm not sure if let's see. I think Anil Augustin. Did you speak last week? I don't think you did. I think you're a new member. Anil.
Hey, Rez. I mean, I'm not new. I've been part of the team for some time.
Yeah,
I introduced previously. Yeah.
But just very quiet. Okay, glad you're on the weekly public meeting. Thank you so much. Okay, so by way of dismount, this was a really important week for us. That we managed to get all of our teams on the same page regarding the roadmap going forward. It's rare that you can map out a roadmap for an entire year, and this, a lot of it involves quite a bit of crystal ball gazing. But look, we will modify the map as we learn more at each stage. The power and the value is in the network, and the network is a network of humans. We've gathered together here a brains trust of some of the smartest minds in AI, critical thinkers of AI, not just cheerleaders of AI. And we are building something that is going to make a difference. We want to look back at this and have built something of cultural significance. And so don't sleepwalk through this era. There's an opportunity to change the arc of history, change the arc of the direction that AI is going in. If we do nothing, we are on a road to a dystopian future. It's your responsibility to do something and volunteer, and let's get AI re-employed in our favor to empower humans, not to further monetize them. So thanks very much. If someone can post in the chat the link to the idea exchange session, which is the sort of spillover after party of the weekly public meeting. We look forward to seeing you there. Thanks so much.
And Monday we're not having office hours, onboarding office.
Yeah, Monday let's take a break. I think we're going to clear the calendar for Monday and take a day off. Thanks so much.
Thank you, everybody,
for reminding us. Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone. Good to meet you.
Thanks, everybody.